Hello, denizens of the internet. Welcome to installment 1 of Digital Investigations. Digital Investigations is a monthly roundup of thoughtful new works, gatherings, and events focused on humanity's current relationship with technology. If this sounds interesting to you, don't swipe away and stick around for this first roundup. Let's jump in. Today I wanted to tell you about Body Electric, a group show at Minimal Gallery in Bushwick. As you can see here on the poster, it says 80 microamps. What is a microamp? A microamp is a tiny unit of electrical current. 80 microamps falls within a microcurrent range used in therapies that work with the body's natural electrical signals, promoting cell metabolism and healing. So microamps is special because it's a tiny, subtle current that supports cellular function and doesn't create a big, dangerous shock to the system. So I'm already intrigued with the title of this poster and this glorious tree abstract nerve-ending type graphic. It would behoove us to not ignore the title of this group exhibit, Body Electric. Body Electric comes from the Walt Whitman poem, Sing the Body Electric. Walt Whitman published this poem as a group of poems, Leaves of Grass, in 1855 as part of the Transcendentalist movement. This poem was endorsed by Ralph Waldo Emerson, known as the father of Transcendentalism. So, what is Transcendentalism? Transcendentalism focuses on the importance of the individual, intuition over empirical evidence, and the spiritual connection between humanity and nature. All right, with all that context, let's jump into the exhibit. Camilo Salas presented Computer Vision, a documentary on the pervasive surveillance happening in New York City. With a first-person POV, it really feels like you are discovering the scale and level of surveillance alongside Camilo. Very informative, very shocking. Camilo also showed 2 other exhibits. One was a series of film prints of street scenes featuring inanimate fixtures. With an object-based visual sentiment analysis algorithm, Camilo detected the moods of each feature. Camilo also presented Surveil Station. Surveil Station places the viewer in the role of surveilled. The systems detect biometric traits and reflect back visualizations of live data. Next to this was a face matching algorithm that compares the viewer's face to a curated database of tech moguls. Turns out I look most like Elon Musk, a hit to my ego. I felt a bit of relatedness to the man, which quickly morphed into a bit of revulsion, and I didn't expect to feel that. But that's what good art is about, making you feel feelings and confront emotions that you otherwise would not. Locally, a transmedia artist presented Becoming L Exordium. Exordium means a discourse or a treaty. In Luca's exhibit, a large print showcases an alphabet or a series of radicals co-created between Luca and L. L is a locally trained AI model with a voice model component and a small language model component trained on Luca's numerous voice notes from times past, as well as writings and musings. Beholding the alphabet, the viewer puts on a headset. Immediately, you're immersed in this gorgeous soundscape adorned with narrated poems that were generated by L. The voice is trained on Luca's old voice recordings before his transition. Training L on very personal voice notes and very personal data gave L a significance and a profundity that I didn't really expect. While this is a group show with many artists, I only have time to share a few exhibits with you today. Lastly, we'll look at Héctor Lequin's work. Héctor is a Chilean-born artist of Mapuche ancestry. The Mapuche people are indigenous people of Chile and Argentina. Héctor not only curated the show, but presented, behind me, runs the video installation that he created. On this work, and I quote, "The work engages with diffusion models as a way of opening a conversation with these new machines of vision, asking how technology dreams of bodies, of style, of presence. What emerges is uncanny and celebratory at once, an archaeology of possible fashions that never came to be, yet somehow still resonate." Diving a bit more into the specifics, you'll notice that many of the silhouettes in the clothing is inspired by Andean silhouettes, such as the long, flowy skirts paired with blankets over the shoulders, as well as the shawls and ponchos. You'll notice Amazonian geometrics as well, and a distinct Mapuche textile influence. In the gallery itself, Héctor printed 4 tall, 6-foot posters showcasing these outfits. It felt like street photography from an alternative universe. Héctor writes about this piece: it is less about nostalgia than about speculation. A glimpse into parallel streets, a reappearance, a continuity that insists on being reimagined. While looking at these works, I wanted to know more and explore further this universe where Indigenous textile history shapes the fashion of the future. Finally, I want to take a last moment to reflect on how each of these exhibits squarely fell under the theme of the show. So, we have Connecting the Body Electric, a title that feels of the moment to me. We live in a very unique time, right? CNBC reports that just 5 mega AI tech names are nearly 30% of the entire S&P 500. This is Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, Amazon. Much of the economy right now hinges on sequestering consumer attention in this digital landscape, in which huge swaths of our work, play, and social lives happen inside of. Body Electric suggests that the body, and by extension the soul, has become yet a new frontier for digitization and private resource extraction. Surveillance Station immediately locates the body as another site for data harvesting, for extraction. And the data that is being harvested is identity data and also behavioral data, which is quickly commodified. An example from the documentary is a grocery store surveillance system collecting motion data, voice prints, and eye tracking data to sell to companies for surveillance pricing and to design more captivating ads, all without consumer consent. Exordium highlights how the body changes and evolves over time. The voice changes, the physique changes, hormones change, whether that is inevitable or intentional. Lucas introduces a local SLM as a container to archive Luca as he was, and also as a foundation for what L evolves to be. One could argue a part of the artist's soul is an input for this self-learning SLM. Soul meets digital, body meets electric. And finally, we have Héctor's work. While I wish the generations were cleaner and less jittery, which could be achieved with more fine-tuning, the process he presents is still compelling. Héctor introduces largely overlooked histories and lineages into a generative video model. And while generative models, of course, do not have firsthand experiences of being in a biological body, they still largely inform how humans and consumers of generated media, most of us online in 2026, perceive, think about, and imagine our own bodies. Since 2022, over 15 billion AI-generated images have been produced, with more than 34 million new images created daily. This collective generation is sourcing its material and its references from data sets available on the internet. So that means histories and stories that have largely been underrepresented, underreported, and underdocumented on the internet are also not making their way into what these generative models hallucinate and generate. And so Héctor is introducing a largely forgotten history of textiles into this generative landscape. In this way, the work is informing what a body looks like, what a body wears, and specifically, and most interestingly, what a body could have worn in a parallel universe with a different type of documented history. Props to all of the artists who took part in the show. I really enjoyed it. That is a wrap for part 1 of Digital Investigations. Stay tuned for installment 2.